You wake up each morning carrying a weight you cannot name. It sits in your chest, heavy and persistent, and you tell yourself it will pass. But it does not pass. Days turn into months, months into years, and the weight remains. You have tried to escape it, through distraction, through pleasure, through the noise of a world that never stops speaking. And yet, in the silence of the night, when all the voices fade, the weight returns. Heavier than before. You are suffering, and you do not know why. But here is the truth you have been avoiding. Your suffering is not meaningless. It is not a mistake. It is not evidence of your failure or your weakness. Your suffering is a message from the deepest part of you, from the place Jung called the unconscious, the hidden realm where your soul speaks in symbols, in dreams, in the language of pain. And that message is this: you are living a life that is not yours. You are wearing a mask so tight it has fused with your skin. You have forgotten who you are beneath the roles, beneath the expectations, beneath the persona you built to survive in a world that demands conformity. And now, your soul is crying out. It is demanding to be heard. Jung understood this. He spent his life exploring the hidden territories of the human psyche, descending into the darkness that most people flee from. And what he found there was not chaos, but order. Not madness, but meaning. He discovered that the unconscious is not a dumping ground for repressed trauma and forgotten memories. It is a living, intelligent force, constantly trying to guide you toward wholeness, toward what he called individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are. But individuation is not comfortable. It is not a gentle unfolding. It is a confrontation, a dismantling, a death and a rebirth. And it always involves suffering. You see, most people spend their entire lives avoiding pain. They build walls around themselves, construct elaborate defenses, distract themselves endlessly to avoid feeling the ache inside. But what they do not realize is that the pain they are running from is the very thing that could set them free. Because suffering, when it is faced, when it is allowed to speak, when it is given meaning, becomes transformation. It becomes the fire that burns away everything false, everything borrowed, everything that does not belong to your true self. And what remains is gold. There was a man, a psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps, who came to understand this truth in the most brutal way imaginable. Viktor Frankl was his name. He watched thousands die around him, witnessed unimaginable cruelty, endured starvation and torture and the constant presence of death. And in that hell, he made a discovery that would change the course of psychology forever. He realized that the prisoners who survived were not necessarily the strongest or the healthiest or the youngest. They were the ones who had a reason to live, a meaning that transcended their suffering, a why that made the unbearable bearable. Frankl wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." And this is not optimism. This is not positive thinking. This is a fundamental truth about the human soul. When your suffering has meaning, when it is connected to something larger than yourself, when it is part of a journey toward becoming who you are meant to be, it transforms. It ceases to be random torment and becomes sacred struggle. It becomes the crucible in which your true self is forged. Jung knew this too. He called it the process of individuation, the painful, necessary journey of integrating the shadow, of confronting the parts of yourself you have denied, of descending into your own underworld and emerging whole. And he was clear, this process cannot happen without suffering, because growth requires death, the death of the false self, the death of the illusions you have clung to, the death of the life you thought you were supposed to live. You are suffering right now because some part of you is dying, some old way of being, some outdated identity, some mask you have worn for so long you forgot it was not your face. It is crumbling. And you are terrified, because you do not yet see what is being born in its place. You are in the darkness between who you were and who you are becoming. And in that darkness, there is no map. There is no guarantee. There is only the pain of letting go and the faith that something is emerging. But here is what you must understand. If you turn away from this pain, if you numb it, if you distract yourself from it, if you refuse to give it meaning, you will remain stuck. The suffering will not end. It will simply become chronic, a dull, persistent ache that follows you everywhere, draining the color from your life, turning everything gray. Because suffering without meaning is unbearable. It is torture, but suffering with meaning is initiation. It is the hero's descent into the underworld. It is the alchemical process that turns lead into gold. Jung spoke of a dream he had early in his own individuation process. He dreamt he was in a dark cave, descending deeper and deeper into the earth. The walls were wet and cold, and he could hear water dripping in the distance. He was afraid, but he kept going. And at the very bottom of the cave, in the deepest darkness, he found a glowing crystal, a stone of light. And he understood, the treasure is always in the darkness. The thing you most need is always hidden in the place you least want to go. Your suffering is that cave, and you have been standing at the entrance for years, too afraid to descend. But the crystal is waiting. The meaning is waiting. Your true self is waiting, and it will not come to you. You must go to it. You must enter the darkness willingly, consciously, courageously. You must ask the question, what is this pain trying to teach me? What part of me is dying? What part of me is trying to be born? This is not about finding a silver lining. This is not about pretending your pain is a gift. This is about recognizing that your psyche is intelligent, that your soul is purposeful, that nothing in your inner world happens by accident. The depression you feel, the anxiety, the restlessness, the sense that something is deeply wrong. These are not diseases to be medicated away. They are symptoms of a life unlived. They are the voice of the self, calling you toward wholeness. And here is the paradox. The moment you stop running from your suffering, the moment you turn toward it and ask it what it wants, the moment you give it meaning, it begins to transform. Not because the circumstances change, but because you change. You stop being a victim of random pain and become a participant in a sacred process. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this making of me? Jung said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But he also said that this process is the most difficult thing a human being can undertake, because it requires you to sacrifice everything you thought you were. It requires you to face the shadow, the parts of yourself you have judged and rejected and hidden away. It requires you to let go of the persona, the mask you show the world, and risk being seen as you truly are. It requires you to descend into the unconscious, into the realm of dreams and symbols and forgotten memories, and retrieve the lost fragments of your soul. And all of this, every step of this journey, involves suffering, but it is not meaningless suffering. It is the suffering of birth, the suffering of transformation, the suffering that leads to life. There is an old alchemical image that Jung loved. It shows a king being dissolved in a bath of acid. His crown is falling off, his flesh is melting away, and he is screaming in agony. But the alchemists understood, this is not the end. This is the beginning. The false king, the ego, the inflated sense of self, it must be dissolved. It must die, so that the true king, the self, the authentic essence of who you are, can emerge. You are in that bath right now. You are being dissolved, and it hurts. But do not turn away. Do not numb the pain. Do not run, because on the other side of this dissolution is integration. On the other side of this death is rebirth. On the other side of this suffering is meaning. And meaning is what makes life bearable. Meaning is what allows you to carry the weight. Meaning is what transforms suffering from a curse into a calling. Frankl proved this in the camps. Jung proved this in his own descent into madness and back. And you will prove it too, if you have the courage to ask, what is my suffering asking of me? What must die so that I can truly live? The answer will not come in words. It will come in symbols, in dreams, in synchronicities, in the quiet knowing that arises when you stop fighting and start listening. It will come when you stop asking the world to take away your pain and start asking your pain to reveal its purpose. You are not broken. You are breaking open, and that is not the same thing. Your suffering has meaning. Find it, and you will find yourself.